Hare Krishna devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glory to Srila Prabhupada. Welcome devotees from morning Bhagavatam class. This morning we will be discussing from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 12, verse 35, and the chapter is entitled The Birth of Emperor Parikshit, and we'll hear the class from His Grace Vishigata Prabhu. Hare Krishna Prabhu, Vancha Prabhupada Kriti Sindhavevacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo,
Vaishnavebhyo, Namo Namaha.
And it's all yours, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
All mine. Okay, great.
Yes, Prabhu, it's all yours. After a busy weekend.
Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Baradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Baradhari. Jashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Jashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Baradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Baradhari. Jashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Jashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paribrajak Acharya Ashtotara Shata Shishimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai. ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivashadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyam Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Navadvip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Jamuna Mai Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Shamaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Gaur Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glory to Sri Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Hari Hari Bol. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namane. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirbhishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna, we're reading, studying, discussing Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, 12th chapter, the birth of Emperor Parikshit. We have a namesake of Parikshit Maharaj here today. And the 35th verse. Ahuto Bhagavan Ragya Yajayitvad Vijaya Nipam Uvasa Katichin Masan Suhridang Priyakam Yaya Ahuto Bhagavan Ragya Yajayitvad Vijaya Nipam Uvasa Katichin Masan Suhridang Priyakam Yaya Ahuto Bhagavan Ragya Yajayitvad Vijarnipam Uvasa Katichin Masan Suhridam Priyakam Yaya. Please stand.
Ahuto Bhagavan Ragya Yajayitva Vijayanipam Uvasa Katichim Masam Suhridam Priyakam Yaya.
Ahuto Bhagavan Ragnya Yajayitvad Vijarnripan Uvasa Katichin Masan Suritam Priyakam Yaya. Hare Krishna.
Ahuta, being called by Bhagavan, Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead. Ragya, by the king. Yajayitva, causing to be performed. Dvijay, by the learned Brahmanas. Nripam, on behalf of the king. Uvasa, resided. Katichit, a few. Masan, months. Suhridang, for the sake of the relatives. Priyakam Yaya, for the pleasure. Translation. Lord Shri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, being invited to the sacrifices by Maharaj Yudhishthir, saw to it that they were performed by qualified, twice-born Brahmanas. After that, for the pleasure of the relatives, the Lord remained a few months. Purport. Lord Shri Krishna was invited by Maharaj Yudhishthir to look into the supervision of the performances of yajna, and the Lord to abide by the orders of his elderly cousin, caused the performance of yajnas by learned, twice-born Brahmanas. Simply taking birth in the family of a Brahmana does not make one qualified to perform yajnas. One must be twice born by proper training and initiation from the bona fide acharya. The once-born scions of Brahmana families are equal with the once-born Shudras. And such Brahma Bandhus, or unqualified once-born scions, must be rejected for any purpose of religious or Vedic function. Lord Sri Krishna was entrusted to look after this arrangement, and perfect as he is, he caused the yajnas to be performed by the bona fide twice-born Brahmanas for successful execution. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Nama. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kata Mahyam Dadati Sha Pandantikam. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivashadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The verse there is Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead, being invited to the sacrifices by Maharaj Yudhishthir, saw to it that they were performed by qualified, twice-born Brahmanas. After that, for the pleasure of the relatives, the Lord remained a few months. So a few interesting points here. We know that Lord Krishna, the purpose of all sacrifices is to please Lord Krishna. The Vedic aphorism is Jagya Vai Vishnu. Jagya is sacrifices are meant for the pleasure of Lord Vishnu, Krishna. And he reiterates the same point in the Bhagavad Gita. Maybe you know the verse of the last verse of the 5th chapter. Anybody?
Not me, Prabhu. I asked Prashant and he said no either. So let me ask Dar Krishna if he knows.
Is it Bhaktaram Yajnatapasan?
Yes, very good, very good. Bhaktaram Jagyatapasam. Bhakta means the enjoyer of all sacrifice. Yagya, of all Jagyas and Tapasam. Yes. Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. He's the controller, the proprietor of all planets and demigods there. And Suhridam, Sarva Bhutanam, and the intimate, close, best friend of all living entities. Someone who knows this, who appreciates that, then they get peace from the pangs of material existence. So, if we know that Lord Krishna is the enjoyer, the purpose of sacrifice is to please Lord Krishna, then who better to make the arrangements for the sacrifice than Lord Krishna? You follow? You follow? Because the whole purpose is to satisfy him. So Lord Krishna knows what he likes, you know. If you like Sandesh and instead I give you something else, then no. If you like, so Lord Krishna knows what's pleasing him. So he arranged for the twice-born Brahmins to perform the sacrifice, because that way the sacrifice will be done nicely to please him, which is the purpose of the sacrifice. Therefore, the verse is there that we often use when we offer prasadam and at other times. This verse is also, interestingly, when Undradumna Maharaj first saw Lord Jagannath, he uttered this verse, Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahman Hitaya Cha Jagat Hitaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Brahman who Go Brahman Hitaya Cha. Go means cows. Brahman means the Brahmins. Hitaya, he's a well-wisher of the cows and the Brahmins. Well, wait a minute, just the cows and the Brahmins? That's it? Nobody else? Oh, Jagat Hitaya, also everybody. Jagat Hitaya, who's that? Krishnaya, Lord Krishna, Govindaya Namo Namaha. So, Lord Krishna is a well-wisher for everybody. Suhridam Sarva Bhutanam, the well-wisher of everybody. But he is especially partial to the cows, and the Brahmins. He says repeatedly, go Brahman Hitaya Cha. And incidentally, when Lord Chaitanya came in front of Lord Jagannath in the Ratha Yatra ceremony, while it was being performed, prior to his beginning to dance there in the Ratha Yatra, he uttered that same prayer first. Namo Brahmanya Devaya, go Brahman Hitaya Cha, Jagat Hitaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha. So why are the Brahmins so important or dear, or why are they singled out as specifically dear to Lord Krishna? Why is that?
Prabhu, is it because they are twice born with proper training?
Yes, and what is that training?
Sadhana Bhakti, Vaidhi Bhakti, that whole process?
Yes,
Of
there's
Krishna
two kinds
consciousness.
of Brahmins, a Brahmin Pandit and a Brahmin Vaishnava. Okay, so this, we see, the word here is Dvija, right? Dvija. Dvi means two, and Ja means born. So second birth, twice birth. The Vedic shloka is Janmane Jayati Shudra. You know this one? Janmane Jayati Shudra. Everybody is born Shudra. Sanskara, but by following the sanskaras, the rules and regulations and training, as you mentioned, sanskara bhaved dvija. We become twice born by following and being trained in sanskara. And Veda Pata Bhaved Vipra, by study of the Vedas, one becomes a Vipra, Brahma Janatiti Brahmana. But someone who actually knows Brahma, the absolute truth, Brahma Janatiti, that's a Brahman. So Brahmins are dear to Lord Krishna for this reason, that they know him. And not just that they know him, but that they instruct and introduce and teach others about him, about the purpose of life, about the purpose of life being not just to gather articles and ingredients for satisfying the body, but there's a higher purpose in life, and that is to become Krishna conscious and actually really make progress to go back to Godhead. That knowledge is essential in human society. Otherwise, human society is an animal society. There's no difference. The only difference is in quality. If you drink water from a golden pot or a iron pot, the taste is the same. So the quality of sense gratification in the animals might be like a iron pot, and the quality of sense gratification in the human being might be like the golden pot, but the water is the same business. So Brahmins are being recognized here by Lord Krishna as especially important in society, because they give the vision so people can make real progress in their lives. And therefore, the Brahmins were described as the head of society. In the social body, the Brahmins are compared to the head. Yeah, the head. The administrators are compared to the what?
Chest, Prabhu?
No. Administrators. They're called
Kshatriyas. They are the
Kshatriyas,
legs.
yeah. No.
Oh, Sudha's the legs, that's right.
I think probably.
Hand,
The arms.
the arms.
Right. The Vaishyas are like the belly, and the Shudras are like legs. All the parts of the body are important. If you have a bad sore on your toe, it's very problematic. Or like during the Rath Yatra ceremony on Saturday, somehow a wasp got inside my shirt and stung me several times. So it's a problem in the stomach. So the stomach, but of all the different parts, the head is the most important. You can live without a toe, you can live without an arm even, but if your head is missing or your head is crazy, the whole rest of the thing is useless. So the Brahmins are important in that sense, that they're guiding, they're meant to guide the rest of society, to guide the Kshatriyas, to guide the Vaishyas in the proper way of doing their business or farming, etc., and to guide the Shudras. There's propaganda, especially in the communist world, that there can be a classless society. Did you know that? That's the ideal. Go ahead. You were going to say.
No, I was going to say, Prabhu, I think I've even heard devotees speak about that. There's some like a prediction or something.
Well, the basis of the communist idea is that, yes, there should be a society without classes, so that nobody's given special treatment, and so that's the idea of it. So when Srila Prabhupada was talking to Professor Katofsky in Moscow in 1971, in May 1971, they discussed the idea of communism, of having a classless society. And Srila Prabhupada very astutely pointed out, well, you say there's classless society, but still you have people who are running this thing. You have the premier or the prime minister, yeah, and they're getting more benefits than the rest of the people. He said, in every society there has to be divisions. That's coming from Krishna. Lord Krishna says, Chatur Varna Mayashishtam Guna Karma Vibhagasha. These 4 divisions of society are created by me. So you can't escape it. So in every society, you're going to have leaders. So the difference between communism and Krishna consciousness, in communism, they say everything belongs to the state. And in Krishna consciousness, we say everything belongs to Krishna. In communism, they say they have a leader, Lenin. And in Krishna consciousness, we have a leader, Krishna. So these are the differences. You cannot find a society that doesn't have divisions of labor. But the problem is that in society, whatever society is, if the Shudras or the Vaishyas or the Kshatriyas act on their own without taking direction from Brahmanically trained individuals, then things go haywire. So the Brahmins are really important to the society because they give direction and what are the priorities of life. And when priorities are messed up, things go weird. For example, today, who makes the most money? It's just as a do teachers make lots of money?
No, Prabhu, for sure.
The people are the CEOs of corporations and also the sports figures. So we see what's given the most emphasis by the society. Now, it's not that just making money is the important thing, no, but we see by that what the importance is given in society. Teachers usually they live on just above poverty ration salary. And what are they teaching? They're not teaching about the spiritual life, the purpose of life. Even those questions, more and more, are banned from talking about in schools and colleges, etc. So the Vedic system was a little different. Lord Krishna here wanted to make sure that the qualified Brahmins were performing the sacrifice. And what makes them qualified? What makes the Brahmin qualified? We heard. Go ahead.
It's the training, Prabhu,
Yeah.
like you were mentioning, that the training, that the samskaras, the guidance.
Yes, they got training, not just but training from a bona fide Vedic acharya. So, like in a university, someone might be trained as an engineer or a doctor, and so if you go to a doctor and you ask, well, were you born in a family of doctors? Do you do that? No. If they're trained as a doctor, if they're trained as an engineer, then they're working as an engineer, working as a doctor, we accept them that way. So similarly, anybody from any background, they can be, with proper training, they can become Brahmanas if they're properly trained by an acharya, a bona fide spiritual master. It's not, as Prabhupada mentions here, by birth. Unfortunately, people accept the ideas of the caste system as coming as the true understanding of the Vedas. Still, many, many people think that. And so during the Swaraj movement in India, there were those who were trying to destroy the idea of caste. You know this? For example, they would insist that Brahmin ladies would marry what they would call, Harijan, which means mlechas, untouchable men, and vice versa, in there, just to get rid of the idea of caste. So we're not in favor of the idea of caste by birth, but there has to be varnas for proper execution of the duties in society. And that means that you can't just label someone a Harijan because you have some concern for them. They have to be trained in duties of rising early, bathing regularly, abstaining from meat, fish, or eggs, abstaining from illicit sex, abstaining from intoxication and gambling, and engaging regularly in the devotional service of the Lord, especially in this age, in chanting the holy names of the Lord. Those things, that will help a person come to the level of a Brahmin very quickly. It's very interesting when Srila Prabhupada was planning to meet Indira Gandhi. She was the Prime Minister of India. He had a whole program of what he recommended for improvement of the government situation in India. The first thing, of course, he asked for was permanent visas for the ISKCON devotees. But along the line, he had a several point program. And one of the points was that the ministers of the government should engage regularly, every day in Harinam Sankirtan. Every day. That was one of a very interesting point. Because following the direction of the twice-born Brahmin, more than a Brahmin, Srila Prabhupada, that would help them see things in a clear, beneficial way for the rest of society. Unfortunately, the there's a vestigial or residual idea, even within those who should know better, that people are born as a Brahmin or born as a Shudra, born this way, that way. When Srila Prabhupada invited some of his godbrothers to Mayapur, of course, he gave them prasadam, and some of them didn't take the prasadam and kept it with them. And as they left and they went outside, they threw it away. Yeah, yeah. Why do you think they did that? Why do you think?
I don't know. I mean, I don't want to assume that it's because it's Mahaprasad, but I don't know. Why? I'm shocked.
You don't know. Well, I didn't get into their heads, but most likely it's because they don't believe ISKCON devotees born in the West are bona fide, twice-born Brahmins. They think that it's more important. They were born as mlechas and that's there. So they're not going to take any food that's been prepared by mlechas. So they threw it away.
Prabhu, is this similar or close to the pastime of Srila Prabhupada and Malati, Prabhu?
Yes.
And yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's what I thought.
Yes. So thinking that way, they can't prepare and offer food to the Lord and have it accepted and become prasadam, therefore they're born in a lower condition. So get rid of that. That means two things. They don't believe Westerners can become Brahmins, Vaishnavas, and they don't believe that their godbrother, their exalted godbrother, Srila Prabhupada, can elevate someone to that position as a bona fide acharya. So Prabhupada was informed of that, of course. He wasn't very happy, but he wasn't surprised. Later, when Srila Prabhupada was in Vrindavan, before he passed away, some of his godbrothers visited, and he had prasadam brought for them. And they said, you know what they said? Oh, we won't take it now, we'll take it with us. And so Srila Prabhupada said, no, take it here. Take it here. Take the prasadam here. He insisted. This is very interesting. It's very interesting. So the point is that can someone become a twice-born Brahmin yes, anybody can become a twice-born Brahmin, just like anybody can become if they do the training, they can become a doctor, they can become a lawyer, they can become an engineer if they're properly trained under the bona fide Vedic teacher or acharya. That's really important. And that person can offer things and knows how to please Krishna. So we follow in the footsteps of Srila Prabhupada in that regard. We accept his teaching, and we accept that not because we want to be extolled as elevated persons, no, but because this principle of what is a Brahmin, not by birth, is essential to understanding the Vedic teachings and the spread of Krishna consciousness around the world. Essential. There was a Gautam Muni. Gautam Muni, there are different gotras in the Vedic, culture. And Gautam Muni is one of the famous sages in Vedic culture. And he often would teach people who are coming from Brahmin family backgrounds. So it's not that coming from a Brahmin family background disqualifies one, but it's not necessary, nor is it sufficient. But anyway, he was teaching his disciples, they were coming mostly from Brahmin backgrounds, and one of his prospective disciples said, "Oh," he asked him, "Well, who was your father? What was your father's status?" And he said, "Well, I don't know. I don't know." So then, what did he Gautam Muni said, "Well, why don't you ask your mom? Go ask your mother. Come back and tell me." So Gautam Muni, the prospective disciple, went to ask his mom, and she said, he came back and said, "My mom doesn't know. My mom doesn't know who my father is." So then Gautam Muni accepted him as a disciple. Why is that? Why is that?
Because he will be the spiritual father of the boy, Prabhu?
Yes, but that wasn't the specific reason.
Hmm.
Dear Krishna Prabhu knows. No, he's maybe busy. Because he told the truth, which is a quality of the Brahmin. That he's so he had the quality of the Brahmin, and he can develop that. So the quality guna chatur varnam mayashrishtam, these four divisions of society, varna, not caste, but varna, mayashrishtam, I created them. Guna, they're understood or recognized by quality. Guna means quality, karma, and by activity, by your work. Guna karma vibhagasha. So the devotees in the Krishna consciousness movement, not that they're looking for adoration, but because they have the quality of Brahmins, and because they're working as Brahmins, they should be accepted as Brahmins. And what is the business of the Brahmin? Shama. They're equipoised. Shama means peaceful, sama. Dhamma, sense controlled, not engaging in the four illicit activities primarily. Sama, Dhamma, tapa. They perform austerities. They rise early. They chant minimum 16 rounds of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. They go on Sankirtan. They execute devotional service throughout the day or throughout the week to please Lord Krishna. That's called tapa. Saucham, cleanliness. They bathe at least twice daily. Brahmins usually 3 times daily. Shantir, peace, Shantir, very peaceful. Arjavam, they follow religious principles. They follow the strictures of the Vedas. Jnana Vijnana, they have knowledge, and that not just book knowledge. Jnana means book knowledge. Vijnana, and realized knowledge. Realized knowledge means, at the Philadelphia temple, there's a sign, put your shoes on the rack. And nobody puts their shoes on the rack. Well, you see all the shoes are there. So realized knowledge means we say something and we actually do it. You put the shoes on the rack. Realized knowledge, jnana vijnana. You say your spirit soul, you're a spirit soul. So act as a spirit soul. Aham brahmasmi, I am soul. So what is the activity of the soul? The activity of the soul, spiritual activity, means to engage the soul in its constitutional activity of trying to please Krishna. That's the activity here of these twice born Brahmins. They're chanting mantras. And those mantras, what are those mantras? It's not just some magic words, but mostly the mantras are glorification of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When Srila Prabhupada had fire sacrifices performed, there was a cacophony of sound. I don't know if you've ever heard this. Sometimes you see we do fire sacrifices, for example, for a marriage or for an initiation or for other things. But those for establishing the foundation of a temple, things like that. And when Srila Prabhupada did say fire sacrifices, particularly later on, he would have many devotees chanting simultaneously. One group would chant the Brahma Samhita, Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam Chintamani Prakarashat. And he would have another group chant the Bhagavad Gita. And he had another group, actually about 1975, he instituted the chanting of the Purusha Sukta prayer. You know that prayer? That's the prayer that the demigods offered to Lord Vishnu when they went to the shore of the Milk Ocean to pacify him, to please him. Yeah. So all this chanting was going on simultaneously as the mantras for the actual sacrifice. Some the Mangalachar and other prayers for the fire sacrifice. So he would do this, all these prayers going on simultaneously. So that's why I say it was a cacophony of sound. And the thing that the purpose of the sacrifice is to please Krishna. So these mantras, and also, not only those mantras, but also Sankirtan was going on at the same time, right? Sometimes we see fire sacrifices are done and the focus is on the mantras that they chant for the fire, Svaha. But really the main sacrifice in the Kali Yuga is Harinam Sankirtan. That's the most important sacrifice. So in 1975, when there was the installation and inauguration of the Krishna-Balaram temple in Vrindavan, Srila Prabhupada had different local Brahmins come to help with the ceremony. They chanted many mantras. He said, otherwise people wouldn't have accepted the temple as bona fide. However, he says in a purport in Chaitanya Charitamrita that his understanding was, he thought that the chanting of the holy names, the Sankirtan performed by the ISKCON devotees and others, was the most important part of the sacrifice. So that shouldn't be forgotten when we do a fire sacrifice. It's not that the kirtan should be background music. Like you go on an elevator and there's this music in the background, I think they have a name for it. I don't remember that name. But that's the main part of the sacrifice. The most important part of the sacrifice is that chanting of the holy names, because that is the part that's going to satisfy Krishna. Who says that? Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Krishna Varnam Trisha Krishnam Sangopangashta Parshadam Jagyar Sankirtana Praya Yajanti Sumedhasa. In this Kali Yuga, those people who are with it, who are woke, they satisfy the Lord by the performance of Sankirtan. So these are things. Qualified Brahmins must be performing Sankirtan. And without that, none of those sacrifices really will be pleasing to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Bhagavad Bhakti Hinasya Jati Japa Tapa Kriya Apranasyaiva Dehasya Mandanam Lokaranjana. Human society, without the infusion of Bhagavad Bhakti, is just like a dead body. It's just like a dead body. In human society, without Bhagavad Bhakti, without devotional service to the Lord. I read that recently Queen Elizabeth passed away. You knew that, right? It's very famous, very, very. And she was lying in state, and many of the Britishers, they came to pay their last respects to her body, and they had to wait up to 14 hours to come see the dead body. Would you wait 14 hours? I wouldn't wait 14 hours, but anyway. Or if you go to Moscow, they have Lenin's tomb is there, and there's often a line to get into Lenin's tomb. This is just a dead body. Dead body. Bhagavad Bhakti Hinasya. So human society is paying homage to dead bodies, but without the purpose of understanding the goal of life, going back to Godhead, which is inculcated by twice-born Brahmins who have been instructed by a guru like Srila Prabhupada, then there's nothing really there, just dead bodies. Lots of dead bodies flapping, that's all. Nice verses there by Kapila Muni. He says, Aho bata svapachoto gariyan yaj jivagre vartate nama tubhyam tapos tapaste juhuvu shashna arya Brahmana chud nama grinanti yete. He said, Oho, wow. Oho means wow. Wow. But svapachoto gariyan. But someone even born in the family of dog eaters. Svapacha means dog cookers, really. Svapacha gariyan. Yaj jiva agre. Jiva means tongue. Agre means on the tip of the tongue. Nama tubhyam. Even if they're born in the family of dog eaters, if they always have the holy name of God on their tongue, regularly have the holy name of God on their tongue. It's like in the Hare Krishna movement, chanting 16 rounds regularly, daily. Tapos tepos te juhuvu shashnur arya. They've understood that they've surpassed, they've already done all the austerities and penances prescribed in the Vedas. Brahmanature, and they're the top quality Brahmins. Arja, they're up to the level of the Aryans. They're very Aryan. Brahmanature nama grinanti yete. Just because they're having the holy name of Krishna always on their tongue. They're always chanting the holy name. So in Kali Yuga, we do not perform horse sacrifices or cow sacrifices. Here, these twice-born Brahmins were performing horse sacrifices 3 times. Why don't we do horse sacrifices or cow sacrifices?
I think yesterday's class, I'm trying to think who gave class yesterday. My God, my mind. Oh, that was Friction. He gave class, and I think it was his class or Bhadra Prabhu's class where we don't have qualified Brahmanas. In those days, they had such qualified Brahmanas that can execute, I assume the wrong word, that can perform horse sacrifice. And it's very, 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 very expensive. And in today's age, we don't have that much wealth and that qualified Brahmanas to perform such sacrifices.
But didn't we just say that someone who's always chanting the holy names or regularly chanting the holy names, they are qualified Brahmins? What about that?
Towards the end of the verse, and I think it was Balabhadra Prabhu's class, that Srila Prabhupada said the highest of all sacrifices is Sankirtan Yagna.
Yes. Yeah. So we're doing the yajna prescribed for the age. So there are qualified Brahmins, but even the qualified Brahmins of Kali Yuga can't chant the mantras properly. Even the qualified Brahmins, even those at Naimisharanya, there were many Brahmins there in Naimisharanya hearing Sutta Goswami. But at the beginning of the sacrifice, usually the Brahmins would be able to start the sacrificial fire. You know that? There's wood that comes down from the banyan tree, little tendrils that come down. You might have seen them. That wood that comes down before it goes in the ground to start a new branch is a new trunk is called adini. That's adini wood. And when Brahmins chant the mantras properly, they can make that. They don't need a lighter. They don't have to rub 2 sticks together. or they don't have to use a magnifying glass to get the sun, catch the sun. They can light the fire just by that mantra with the arani wood. But in the beginning of that sacrifice, they could understand our mantras aren't lighting the fire, even though they were very qualified people. So things had changed. The mantras aren't effective anymore. The mantras for lighting fire, or in the case of the Gometa Yagya and Ashvamedha Yagya, the mantras to rejuvenate an old animal. Sometimes people who know a little bit about Vedic writings say, well, in the Vedas, there's recommendation for Ashvamedha, horse sacrifice, and Gometa, cow sacrifice and horse sacrifice. So they were eating meat back then. So why is this big deal? What's this about? So the same argument was introduced by Chandkazi to Lord Chaitanya. And Lord Chaitanya definitively responded that the purpose of the Vedic sacrifice wasn't to slaughter animals for meat eating, but to prove the efficacy of Vedic mantras and rejuvenate the old animal and get it a new body. But because now people can't chant, there's nobody, even these even qualified Brahmins can't chant the mantras properly. Ashvamedha Gavalamban, Sanyasya Pala Paitrakan. These things are forbidden. 6 things are forbidden in the Kali Yuga. Horse sacrifice. The first one, Ashvamedha, Gava, horse sacrifice, cow sacrifice. Sannyasa is also forbidden. Pala Paitrakan, offering flesh to the forefathers. These things, 6 things are forbidden. So even the qualified Brahmins, they can't chant the mantras right, even those who are qualified by learning from, nor would the bona fide acharya at this age want them to perform the Ashvamedha or Gavalamban or Gometa Yagya, because the Yagya for this age, as mentioned, is the Harinam Sankirtan Yagya. That is the Yagya that will please Krishna the most. That is the Yagya that pleases Krishna the most. And a point also is that it's recommended that when the Harinam Yagya is performed, that also those who chant are purified persons. It's not recommended to hear the chanting from the lips of non-devotees, just like milk touched by the lips of a serpent has poisonous effect. So it's not recommended that we hear from professional chanters, people who make a business about that, but those who are sincere and following Vedic regulations, the regulative principles, that kind of chanting, that kind of Sankirtan will have effect on the hearers and bring them closer to Krishna in Krishna consciousness. Okay, I've talked a while. I see Parikit Prabhu raised his hand.
Hare Krishna, accept my humble obeisances, all glories to you, Prabhupada.
Mine.
We were talking about the sacrifices, the Ashvamedha and Gometa sacrifice.
Yeah.
That the real reason, one of the beneficial results of that is that the animal that gets sacrificed gets rejuvenated. And does that happen immediately? Does it happen in the next life? Does it?
No, right away.
Oh, okay.
They go in the fire and they come out. New body.
Okay, thank you very much. That's what I was concerned about. Hare Krishna.
People. Lord Chaitanya definitively explained, well, he didn't say that specific point, but he talked about that with Chandkazi. Because he said, Chandkazi said, you Hindus, you also have cow killing in your Vedas. Lord Chaitanya said, any Hindu He said, any Hindu, whoever he may be, does not engage in cow killing. Cow killing is, cow killers are condemned to rot in hellish life for as many thousands of years as there are hairs on the body of the cow. How many hairs are on, as many thousands of years as there? So we mentioned the Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahman Hitaya Cha. So he didn't say that about dogs or cats, that if they kill a dog or cat or goats, but if the cow killers specifically are singled out there by Lord Chaitanya. So it's a big deal. It's a big deal. So of course, we recommend everybody offer their food to Lord Krishna and take the remnants as prasadam. And you can't offer that kind of meat. Krishna doesn't say. Just like here, he's making sure the qualified twice-born Brahmins do the sacrifice. He knows what he likes. He doesn't like meat to be offered to him. It's repulsive.
Thank you, Prabhu, for such a wonderful class. Amazing points, actually. Prabhu, I have two questions. One is when you were mentioning in 1975, when Srila Prabhupada was, when he had groups of devotees chanting different mantras or prayers. Is that also done when there is an abhishek of the Lord, like
Yes.
Janmashtami?
Yes. Especially the Brahma Samhita was recommended. Brahma Samhita and Purusha Sukta. Sahasra Shireka Sahasraksha. In those days, we learned those. I don't remember the whole Purusha Sukta, but in New York, when there's Abhishek, and every morning the deities get bathed. So right after Mangalarti, a group of devotees would go on the altar and they chant the whole Brahma Samhita during the bathing of the deities. It's quite fun. Once you get into it, it's quite fun. That's also, chanting those mantras together, that's Sankirtan. It's because they're all glorifying the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It takes about 20 minutes.
So, Prabhu, when there's an abhishek, like say it was for like Janmashtami or Purnima, something like
yes.
that, because it takes 20 minutes, is the chanting is the chanting of the Brahma Samhita done just one time, 20 minutes, or it's repeated during the whole abhishek process?
No, one time, it's fine. And it's not separate from the Hare Krishna mantra, can also be chanted at that same time too. It doesn't have to be, you could do it one and the other, or one or the other. But last time we did this, on Thursday in Philly, Thursday I was teaching people to do some mantra chanting, like learning verses. And so for a while we did Brahma Samhita. So some people got trained in chanting the Brahma Samhita. So we chanted that for this last Janmashtami. Who's really into chanting Brahma Samhita? Because he was there. Me, Vaisheshik Prabhu, Pragosh Prabhu, we would chant every day. So Vaisheshik Prabhu has really continued to chant most days the Brahma Samhita from beginning to end. He encourages his followers, his disciples, to do that as well. So we did that. We chanted that. We put it up on the screen. There's a TV screen in Philadelphia so that people could chant along. At least, in the middle part, there's the final line of every verse. Every verse is Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. So if people can't follow the rest of it, they can at least chant that part. But this is, the Brahmas, these twice-born Brahmas, they were chanting mantras, right? They weren't necessarily always chanting Hare Krishna mantra. They would chant Hare Krishna mantra, but also these verses, these Vedic verses in glorification of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much. And Prabhu, my second question is when you were speaking about qualities, I think, of the Brahmana, What came to my mind is Satsub Maharaj's book, the 26 qualities of a
Yes.
Vaishnava. And is that similar, Prabhu? Like that, the
Yeah.
qualities? Okay. Just wanted
A
to make
Brahmin who makes further advancement becomes a Vaishnava. Brahmin, there's two kinds of, there's Brahmin Pandit, means a learned scholar Brahmin. They might know impersonal Brahmin. And a Brahmin Vaishnav means a devotee Brahmin. There's two kinds.
Mm.
And there's also Brahma Bandhu. Brahma Bandhu means an unqualified friend of a Brahmin, might be born in a Brahmin family, but they haven't developed the work or the qualities of a Brahmin. Brahma. When Sudama, Sudama Vipra, he went to the Gurukul with Lord Krishna, and he was a qualified Brahmin. He was very austere and chanted and did all kinds of devotional service. But when he went to see Lord Krishna in Dwaraka, Lord Krishna saw him, and the first thing he did was embraced him. So Sudama then said, he responded to Lord Krishna's embrace, Kvaham, who am I? Daridra, I'm low. Papiyan, I'm sinful. Kva Krishna, who's Krishna? Sriniketana, he's the husband of the goddess of fortune. Brahma Bandhu iti smaham, I'm just an unqualified person born of a Brahmin family. Brahma Bandhu iti smaham, bahubhyam parirambita. So how is it that the Supreme Personality of Godhead has now embraced me with his two arms? Very nice verse by Sudama. So he was, even though he was a qualified Brahmin, he was thinking he wasn't qualified. But so how is it that he's being embraced by Lord Krishna, which is, we could say, is the perfection of being a Brahmin. Brahmin, Namo Brahmanya Devaya, go Brahmin. He's very well-wishing to the Brahmins. You see sometimes the picture of Lord Krishna with his arm, giving his arm around a cow, right? Embracing a cow. So he's embracing Sudama. So that's the perfection of Brahminical life, is to be embraced by Lord Krishna.
That's one of my favorite pictures of Krishna having his hand around the cow. It's so beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah, and here, one thing here. So, Lord Krishna is not just some abstract thing. So the devotees, Yudhishthira invited Lord Krishna to come for the sacrifice. Come on. We just read, he was there, after the Battle of Kurukshetra, and he went back to Dwarka, right? We just read, that was the previous couple chapters. And so now he's visiting again. And last time he stayed a little longer because of the request of Yudhishthira. This time he's staying a little longer for the pleasure of the relatives, which included Yudhishthira. So, he's not a dull stone. He's not just an abstract. He reciprocates with his devotees. So you want me to stay longer? Okay, yeah. In his loving exchange with his devotees is there, and that was above and beyond his appreciation of the sacrifice done by the Brahmins who were qualified. And why did they want him to stay? So they could engage in his service in various ways.
It's interesting because the previous chapter was the entrance of Lord Krishna into Dwarka. Yeah, and then
he's coming back
again.
He's not leaving him high and dry. He's
No.
there. Oh, you want to please come for a sacrifice?
Really, really amazing. Yes, I'm now that I think about it. Yes, thank you. Amazing points, Prabhu. Any other questions from devotees? I think we are losing folks from work.
Okay.
If there are no questions, Prabhu, thank you so much for such a wonderful class. Every time I hear your class, I always learn at least 1 or 2 points, and I make it note. I'm blessed to actually hear your class. Krishna is kind that I'm able to take some notes and to also make me realize, oh my God, there's so much reading to do and learning to do. So thank you so much, Prabhu. And thank you, Prabhu, for engaging us in service at the Rath Yatra. It was really, really, really nice. It was a beautiful Rath Yatra.
Came out good. It came out good by Lord Jagannath's grace. We had, I was worried because, the health inspector comes, he always comes, or he or she comes,
Ooh.
and sometimes they give us a hard time. And this time, we saw we were frying things on the spot. Did you see that?
Yes, yeah, right. I think because they
We had
wanted
one walk,
propane gas or something.
Yeah, one walk was there, and so uh, I was worried because I had just said that we were going to do it, but somehow we didn't get permission to do that. So they could have shut that down, but they came and they just looked at the thing, they take a look at a couple of things, they said, okay, fine, left. And so then it was, we could do the frying at the site without any problem, no problem. So,
But Prabhu, if you have the certificate, it's okay though, right? On site?
well, that's a specific thing. It's just a specific additional thing. We have the
Oh,
certificate, every city is different.
okay. It
Yeah,
was a beautiful Rath Yatra. In fact, when we came back, I was telling the voice that Philadelphia Rath Yatra it's the summation of all the Rath Yatras on the East Coast that ends so sweetly. It's wonderful,
well,
wonderful Rath
we
Yatra.
made it specific as kind of like because many Rath Yatras start late May and Memorial Day, then New York, and so there's a lot of Rath Yatras in the middle. So this we were thinking is the last Rath Yatra for the season, the last Rath Yatra. So it's an opportunity to do that, and
It was
I didn't realize, but we made about 130 gallons of subji, 130 gallons of subji, and it was gone by 4 o'clock. 4
It
o'clock.
was gone. I think the only one that the only thing that was left was some laddus, but a whole lot of chapatis, which I was able to bring some back, Prabhu.
Oh, good.
And we were able to serve it at the feast next day. I
Good,
brought back, I
good.
think, about 300 something chapatis.
Okay. Yeah.
It was really,
Oh.
and there Krishna said probably the inspector enjoyed the pakoras. That's why he gave you.
I hope so.
Thank
Anyway,
you
yeah.
so much for a wonderful class, Prabhu.
One thing I didn't mention, I didn't send you an email, but I sent an email to Dhruva,
In
president
Gitanagari.
Gitanagari, yeah.
Yes.
Because when we were at the Gitanagari Rath Yatra, there's a few devotees there, and so we were talking briefly about a summer camp.
Yes, I overheard it talking to the other Anutama Prabhu.
Yes, Kara Newton.
Yes. Car, yeah. Oh, I call him broker. Okay, car.
Kara Newton. So anyway, so I proposed, I sent an email, I talked to Madhupati, who's Central New Jersey president. I talked to Madan Gopal, who's like the regional secretary in
Yes.
Tawako. So hopefully we'll get some, if one wanted to have a summer camp for kids next summer, it should start planning for it now.
Yes.
So
That'd be really nice, Prabhu.
Yeah, so then I asked them that whatever dates might be convenient for that. So perhaps sometime soon. I know that you're doing a kirtan on October 22nd there
Yes,
in
Prabhu.
Harrisburg. So that might be a possibility to go there, to do kirtan. And of course, probably best if it's done at Gitanagari, because to see what the facilities are and all. But
I think Gitanagari normally has their kirtan. In fact, they end the Kartik with their kirtan.
okay.
Yeah, the first is New Vrindavan, then second is us, third is I don't know who. I think it's I forgot who it is. But the last Kartik Saturday, that weekend is Gitanagari's kirtan. Like we kind of plan it that way. That way, it's not a that doesn't clash. Yeah.
So, yeah, if you can send me that, I mean, that will be probably in November, right?
It's normally November, yeah. And normally in the past, Ekavera used to organize that. So I
Okay.
can reach out to him.
I mean, that would be maybe a good time to do this discussion as well.
Yeah, that would be really nice, because I mean, we do have young kids in our community that would like to be part of the summer camp.
Yeah, summer camp, you have to decide how long you want to do it,
Yeah.
how many how many people you want, the age group, so many things has to be,
Yes.
what accommodations you have, who's going to be the responsible parties, who's going to teach, what activities you do, all that stuff.